Hello and thanks for watching this video regarding accountant settings in QuickBooks Online. I'm in a QuickBooks Online Plus file. It would be similar settings that I'm going to show you in a QBO Advanced as well. And I'll point out when Essentials will not have a particular feature. And if Essentials doesn't have it, then Simple Start won't have it either. Okay? It's just a rule of thumb. And of course, none of these settings would be in QuickBooks Self-Employed. But most of your clients are probably using Plus, so this works out pretty well. So clearly company information, right? There it is. You got that. Tax form and industry type. You can just start typing for industry. And we do support most of the tax forms. Not that we actually produce the tax forms, but this is just the entity types. And then if you do want to send the file to ProConnect Tax Online, well, that's where you would actually do the 1065 or 1120S, 1120, etc., right? There we go, nonprofit right there, right? If you're looking for nonprofit, I think you type in religious. See, it kind of brings up different options, right? So that's what I usually choose for that. And oftentimes that'll change the language of the reporting and your customer and your reporting really, yeah. We'll go over that other one later. So consider that. You're just typing in. It's not a drop-down list till you start typing, right? For the industry type, that might be good to point out. Address, you can have a company address and a customer-facing address. Sometimes I still have a tough time getting this one showing up on forms. It's typically the company address. So I really haven't had a lot of success in this one as being separate on when I'm doing like a new invoice or a sales receipt and have a different customer facing address. So test it out for sure. I usually turn marketing preferences off. Billing and subscription. Now, if the QBO subscription is under wholesale, even the master admin, your client will not have this tab. Right, it's important to point out under wholesale, all these upgrades or add payroll and stuff, that is done through wholesale billing. QuickBooks Payments, of course, is not. That is something that would be available, that they could turn on payments. Right, so you'll have a payments tab, right? So payments, the client still signs up for it. QuickBooks Payments or the merchant services would never be under wholesale billing, but certainly the QBO sub and payroll, right? But all the upgrading, downgrading, adding payroll, turning it off, if it's under wholesale billing, that's done in QBOA under the gear icon, your account, right? But clearly this is a direct bill. In other words, a customer is paying for this one, my client is. All right, usage, this is a new tab. For Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus, even in Advanced, you will see the usage limits. And beginning April 2019, usage limits will go into effect. That doesn't mean we're going to auto-upgrade you to Advanced or anything like that. It just means that you can't add any more chart of accounts if you're at 250. You can't have more than 5 users in Plus, right? You can't have more than 40 total class and locations. If you need that, then you will upgrade to Advanced. But if you're at 42 classes and 300 chart of accounts right now, it's not like you're going to auto move into that, right? You can just keep going. You just can't add any new ones. Just want to make sure. But that usage limit is now in as a tab in accountant settings. Now, there's a bunch of stuff in the sales settings. Customize look and feel. Let's just go there quickly. I just want to show a couple key things. You can create styles templates for invoices, estimates, and sales receipts. What I wanted to show here is just I'm going to edit an invoice. In the content section, this is where you add custom fields, right? Advanced now has more custom fields at the item level, or I should say product and service, as well as customers and vendor level, the name level. But Plus is going to have just 3 custom fields at the top of a form. Essentials should as well. And again, I'm not really sure on Simple Start. I'm not even going to test it out. But this is the top section. Here's the target area. Right, I did want to show that you can show an account summary. It's like a statement and invoice in one. All right, right at the top of the target area, if you will. Here's where you edit labels and widths, right? And then activity options, right? If you want to group by, type a date, progress invoicing, if you have that turned on. A lot of people don't know that exists there. Then you have emails and payments. So that's really it for custom form templates. We have a deeper video on that, but always use the ARI Classic, as that's the one that when we make enhancements to templates, that's the one where we usually support. All right, so other key things to note, your custom fields, again, if you want them internal or public or whatever. I usually track sales rep, that's it. But remember, there's a couple. If you need more, move up to advanced. Custom transaction numbers, that's if you want to increment your numbering system. Service date, this is on invoices, service date and sales receipts. This is service date column, which can help on some reports, some of the more sales detail reports. If you want to give a discount, right? A deposit, this is for an upfront deposit, or a tips gratuity. So there's those to consider as well. This is where you turn inventory on. Okay, plus and advanced have inventory, not simple starter essentials, and certainly not self-employed. Okay, and it's first in, first out. Progress invoicing, against an estimate only, not yet against a delayed charge. I'm still waiting for that one. Then you got like the online delivery one. This is how I usually keep it. Now expenses, this is an important one, and that's if you want to show the items table on expense and purchase forms, track expenses and items by customer, or make it billable. So for like the job costing in here, or project tracking, if you will. And that's what it is. So let's just go to a transaction and see what those look like. Let's go to just an expense. And I'll pick one from before. This one for $110, right? This is what we're talking about. The items tab is on cost forms. You can only do that in plus and advanced, not the lower levels of QBO. Essential's not going to have that. They just have single-sided items. Plus and advanced have two-sided items, and there's the items detail tab on expense forms, which is helpful. But even at just the account level, here's where you tag a project, and you can make it billable if you want to pass it through. So for me, like just QuickBooks Desktop Pro job costing or project tracking type functionality, you really need plus or advanced. All right, let's go back to the settings here. So these are the three most key settings, I think. All right, purchase orders turned on. There you go. Again, this is where you apply for payments. And then you have a lot of settings in the advanced tab. First month of fiscal year, first month of income tax year. This accounting method setting really does almost nothing. Right? So changing it to cash doesn't mean that a report's going to open default to cash, right? Use the report tools that you have. This is where you would go do that, right? Under the gear, under the briefcase, right? Report tools. This is where you set default date range and basis for just a few of the company financial reports, and I think batch or classify and a couple other tools. Not all reports, but still. So I usually just leave it to accrual, because I always feel like you probably, right? You've noticed over the years, particularly if you're desktop, QuickBooks and then QBO, QuickBooks kind of favors accrual basis accounting, right? Not that you can't do cash on reporting. I just think it's more set up for accrual. Close date and password. I mean, it just sets a close date and a password. It's not like you can't undo it. The company admin and master admin can undo it anyway. So it's not like locking down a period. It can help when you've done a review and you want at least your client to get a pop-up says, when they go to delete or void something, right? So that's what that's for. Again, another place to come in and choose the company type, chart of accounts, show account numbers, or if you want to enable them but not show them on reports, there you go. If you turn on account numbers, and the chart of accounts will be ordered within each type numerically. If you don't have account numbers on, it's alphabetical within each type. Here's that tips gratuity account, the discount account that you can change, right, from those sales settings. The upfront deposit, by the way, this one just goes to just a deposit account. It's another current liability is where we put that. Track classes and location, right? Let's go back to that form I had. Let's go to an invoice. That'll work. $500. Let's add another line. We'll do brass hinges, and it was $1,000 in brass hinges. Class, you can do it at the line item level. Location, one per form. You can do balance sheet and P&L by location. Class, really just profit and loss by class, not balance sheet. So those are the main differences, but that's on any transaction. You're going to see location and class tracking. And most people have it where class is at the line item level for like splits and stuff on a bill, a check, in this case, a customer invoice, and then location would be the total, right? So on a P&L, I would see a profit and loss by location. I would see the whole $1,500 in the column for California, but when I'm doing a profit and loss by class, like departmentalization within the business, I'd see 500 in the new construction class column and 1,000 in the remodel column. So that's how that works out. So some people just turn on class and not location. Again, the main thing is if you need a balance sheet buy for like nonprofits, location tracking, not class. Profit and loss, all day long, either will work. And just remember, class you can split out, or you could do a summary, and then location is just one per transaction. Automation's key. Pre-fill forms with previously entered content. I mean, this works for all names. customers, vendors, and employees. So I usually leave it off. Automatically apply credits or automatically apply bill payments. That's the next customer invoice or next vendor bill in line. I usually leave that off too. And then this one's cool, but it's a global thing. It'll, because of the ability to tag a customer or a project and mark it billable, like to pass through material expense and time, although Essentials would handle the time piece. We'll get to that. This QBO will automatically create invoices on Wednesday for any unbilled activity. And there's related reports for that too. If you need it not to be global, then set up a recurring invoice. That also has the ability so that just that particular customer that's on that recurring invoice would pick up unbilled activity or have it automatically created. But I love this one for some businesses that you don't really need to review what goes on the invoice. Automatically create your invoices. Project tracking. Yes, that is for tracking projects. We used to use a sub-customer method for that, but it's its own tab now in the left-hand panel. Time tracking is in Essentials and Plus and Advanced, right? And yes, you can add a service field to timesheets in Essentials and make it billable. So if you have a law firm that doesn't need Plus, or a company that's not really doing class tracking or more than 3 users, then they could be on Essentials, but they can invoice against time and automatically invoice against time. So, and you can have unlimited time users in Essentials too. Good to know. Home currency, that's in Essentials and Plus as well. Choose your home base currency. Like all my reports, when I turn it on, will be USD, but customers, vendors, bank accounts could be different currencies, right? And we have exchange loss reports and realized, unrealized gain, things like that. Other preferences, I always just encourage this one. Sign me out if inactive for 3 hours. And those are your accounts and settings.